cold in here today. That's Freya, Ian's dog. If you like dogs, you love her. She's got a really great nature. Alexander loves her very much and plays with her as much as he can. So it's still 6:30, or just gone 6:30. Hey guys, see a couple of pals have stopped by. Hey Ricardo and Mary, nice to see you guys. Hope you all well, and your families and you are doing well in these really strange times. I've found the last few days a bit challenging. Just, you know, the unspoken truth that, you know, this system is seeking to impress itself on us. And it's like a behemoth just powering on, just thundering on in the direction it needs to go. It will do that despite the expected growing clamour that will come from people going, this isn't right for us. But I titled this, "The Revolution Won't Be Televised," because there's a lot of television going on telling people what's going on, etc., etc., but it's not telling them about the revolution that's taking place at the same time. It is challenging to be here. There's more to do than if I was in a block of flats. And there's less people watching over me than if I was back at Good Hard Way. I'm going to move this back a let me just read the comment. Yeah, hope all is well. You guys. Good as can be considering the crap that's going on, yeah. Didn't mean to do that. I've been meaning to get out for the last few days, but one thing and another has meant that hasn't happened. Yeah, it's a weird phase, and they gave us 3 weeks initially, and I think because it was 3 weeks yesterday that the announcement was made, but perhaps because of the Easter holiday and so on, or Easter Monday, that they have postponed it until today. I don't know, I don't watch the news closely enough, I just look out for the headlines of interest. Because there is a revolution going on, but they're not televising it, and they're definitely not talking about that. It's the evolution of, ultimately it comes down to that there's only this sort of consciousness, this creation, this realm, this place in which we dwell. It is my fervent contention and belief that there's meant to be this renaissance of human inner standing of our place in this space. We're able to kind of encounter this world So, how are we going to continue to protect the kind of trajectory, you know? Sometimes all we do is we focus on the like the vaccine issue, the testing fiasco, or the city versus back to, well, there's those two very different opposite sides, isn't there? There's the off-grid living on the one side, and then there's the city slicker on the other. And when it comes to that, it feels like there's only two choices. You either live in a city concrete square block, an off-grid cabin in the woods with no internet connection and no running water. Dialectic there, isn't it? It's funny because I feel like the system of politics, the system of government is always corrupted. However, me and the nature and stuff like that presupposes that our human intellect and so on was really without the hive, without the system. We have to be forest dwellers, and much as I want to have a forest with some on my piece of land, I also think that having a high moral code and a higher standard of living do not necessarily need to be mutually exclusive. I think that might be part of the trick, or that we will have to take vaccines. I don't want to say too much on that because I don't know how far they will push this and how many limitations on our movements and our access to things will come our way. But if this is our creation, this world is our creation, why is it that we are subjugating ourselves to these insane convulsions of the government, of the system of control? It is, in essence, giving them the authority, giving them the power that they don't warrant, giving them an authority that they should not have. Maybe the revolution should be televised. But a bit like in that movie They Live, people are in a trance, under a spell, right now. I mean, most of the time, they're in a spell, but right now it's so obvious and so powerful. So they're televising whatever they need to, and people are just kind of hoovering it up. And from within that, finding the dialectic, that they're not doing enough, they're doing too much. Well, or people are not taking this serious enough, all those sorts of things. It sounds like there's some... but maybe we do need to think differently, rather than thinking, in their terms, in terms of viruses and so on. We need to think about the higher spiritual essence of why we're here and what. I know this year is going to be fundamental, and I do feel like our very souls are being sought in this battle against principalities. That's what they're after. Being governed, controlled for so long now. Bodies have been misshapen, misappropriated by the system. And now both body and mind are being constrained by the system. It only leaves the soul for their surely for their final conclusion is to have the soul to ridicule, to usurp with this AI-led drone system. The humans are the main resource, the human resource. Human resources. But it can't simply be to hold your body and your mind in a slave camp whilst your soul experiences this place. Your soul is meant to experience this place through the body and the mind. And so, the soul may not be predisposed to simply choosing between a concrete, lots of people looking over it, or, some kind of to fend for themselves because available opportunities for generating income from the land have been so denuded by this system. So just to make life here a constant battle. That might be right for some, but I don't think it's right for me. I don't think it's right for me. With the land and so on, but at the same time, I've visited farms and farmers who, are absolutely like flea bitten by the nature of trying to make a living, in this world on a little bit of land. It doesn't cost them anything because it's been in the family a couple of generations, or was bought at a time when land was far more reasonably priced. Farmer Jerry, when we were looking at trying to grow some hemp, before we realized how much the government prevent people from even for its various properties. And I said to Jerry, he said, "Oh, how much rent are you paying at the moment?" I say £2,000 a month. What? For this old farmer, £2,000 represented significant amount of overhead. You know, his whole life wouldn't be costing him anything near that per month. You know, nothing to pay, maybe some taxes on the land, but nothing much to pay out. But for the majority of people trying to exit the concrete jungle, the current timeline doesn't afford people without opportunity. I know there are communes and groups like that and so on, but again, that feels like we'll make if you make these kind of all these sorts of constrictions or whatever for a few years and be in a commune and so forth. We need to be in a community. We need to be in a village. We need to be in we need each other to make it work. One person's skills or another person's need to work together. And of course, I can produce one product, you another, and between us, we raise the sort of spectrum we provide the greater and greater spectrum of the various need to survive. But the entirety of this system, even Ian and I were talking about Dollar Vigilante yesterday. What's his name? Jeff Bezos. No. Jeff. Well, you know his name. And he, the thing I had, the issue I have with all of that is, it's like it still requires a system of capitalism. This is where we were all brought up, capitalism over communism and free market and so on and so forth. But actually, the truth is that there's no such thing. It is really loaded in the favor of profiteering, and those that profiteer are generally those that don't have to do labor so much as just provide this magical funding stuff. So it's a perverse system that would need to be done away with. It is actually born here and always be on the back foot. Always fighting to just a piece of land that you should have had when you were young, when you still had the energy to work the land. Plant seeds that become trees, and by the time you retire, or rather by the time you're older, that you amounts of fruit that your grandchildren can come and pick and go to the local market and exchange for other things. It's a simple example, but the point is that land is meant to be so productive, such that you don't need to be, doing 10 hours of work every day for all of your life. It should be a matter of investing your time and your energy and your love into the land and into your thing, your skill, your craft, and getting to a point where it's sort of more productive. But you'll never be that in a corporation. You'll never be that. You'll only be as good as your last paycheck, or the next paycheck. And that's where I was for most of my adult life, is that it's just a matter of having a month or two. If you've got a month or two in the bank, you're doing well. You've got a month or two living in the bank, then you're in good nick. And after that, you're not sure. It should not be like that. We're basically turned into competitors, competing against each other within a confined system. Morning. The system is fundamentally flawed, and I think is it our gift to have been provided with, or given access to all of this sort of incredible insight, incredible information, and only to take it into the forest and build a log cabin and stay there. Or as some people prefer to just keep quiet, know what you know of our science, history, geography, religion is all co-opted, it's all controlled. Know all of this, but continue to just play along with the system. Keep getting that regular check and so on. Well, those are the two options that people are seeming to be presented with at the moment. Freya's going a little bit ape shit on one of Alexander's balloons. He and Alexander have found this fun game where they play balloons with each other. Well, I've probably added to the thing. I've got to peek on it. Yeah, so sorry about that. Oh, hey, Malcolm Morgan. It's China, lovely to see you. I'll try and read the comments in a little while. I wanted to finish my threads. So those are the those are the two options, it seems. You go hunker down in the woods, or put up and shut up, or just shut up rather, and that this reality is, and that it should be kind of just make it a little bit better, maybe so that I pay a little bit less tax and I have a little bit more money for a spare holiday, an extra holiday or something like that. What else would I like if I stayed in the system? Otherwise, just more oversight. Oh yeah, and more money for the NHS, so maybe I'll have to pay a bit more tax. No matter. I was arguing for NHS more pay for the NHS, so I am arguing for more tax, aren't I? Oh well, I'll just have to charge a little bit more for my services, so I can just cover the cost of that and have my extra buy a few more fresh clothes from cheap Indonesian sweatshops. So yeah, I don't want to belabor that. Just you get my point. Being ironic or sardonic, because it kind of it's a bit like where truth is. But I'm just going off to work at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and for the next 5 mornings because that's what I'm that's Uncle Fester. He's the family molester, but let's invite him around for dinner anyway because it's family. And then equally, if we end up just kind of, going to the bush, if we end up doing that, just 12 of us set up a little community somewhere in the bush, which has some appeal, I have to be honest. But if 12 of us set up a community in the bush and we just shut ourselves off from the rest of the world, will we have failed in the gift, or failed in honouring the gift that we were given? The gift of this insight, this understanding. Will we have failed, and should we rather have been seeking to teach and to evolve? Is our part to just simply fill in evolution and so on, and leave the rest of creation and humanity. And I tend to think that it is all one humanity, and it's all one. Whether those souls, whether there's some souls that are here that are very badly disjointed from their truth, from something foundational, then yes, I accept that. But at the same time, this is all one creation, in my view, and therefore our stewardship, our husbandry of it, this place should be perhaps more willing or more inclined towards doing something about it. Not letting the bullies just have at it, fuck them over, fuck us all over, screw us down, continue to engage in the slave camp thing that you've got going on. Continue to engage in the slave camp thing. And, see, I'm off to, now I really want the forest life, I really want the bit of land that I can work. I really want the forest. I'd like to have a little stream running through it too. Hope I'm not being too demanding. This is the most wonderful creation. It has fantastical things to offer, and in my lifetime I've travelled around the place, not all of it, but some of it, and I have seen the most wonderfully beautiful parts of the world. And guess what? They're often uninhabited. Why? Because everybody's off at the slave camp, doing the work of the city, and we need to be in communities. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Me and my neighbour, I'd like a little bit of breathing space. It's not a lot to ask on such a vast land, and where we are meant to be stewards and stewardesses of this beautiful, beautiful nature. Maybe it's an example that being enlightened, a light, others come, because we know this. Right now, the vast majority of people vote within the confines of this scripted reality in which there is a man-made hierarchy to which we obsequiate. My dad, my family, my sisters, they see the only viable way of managing things here. As I said to the older lady who told me off like a child in the shop the other day for walking the wrong way up the aisle, I told her that. So I tried to explain that this thing that's going around is not nearly as hazardous or as transmittable, or even transmittable at all, but it's nothing like it's being portrayed. But she wants to rely on the experts and others away from her to tell her what to think. It's in a similar state where they are being told what to think and have totally forgotten their own. The vast majority are like that now. I'm not frustrated with that, by the way. I'm not frustrated with them. The best way to be, it is really just being understanding or acknowledging of the vastness of this control net, this control group, and the depth to which it has robbed people of their own senses. So, with that said, I have to acknowledge that unless something, and we see it, a little bit of it, but unless something fundamental changes, people are not going to realize their inner, their own warrior, their own ability to husband themselves, to steward themselves, to be their own master, to be sovereign, to be the higher man or woman. This is what we're encouraged to be. This is what we're meant to be, and I think that this is what this journey is giving me. And perhaps one needs to take this journey. Maybe one doesn't. Maybe it's going to be an energetic shift. We are hearing in the mainstream mindset. I don't have the answer right now. But all I'm saying is that right now I think I'm saying that we don't need to choose from only the dialectic, only is it the city 9 to 5, or is it the forest 24/7? There will be other ways, and there are people doing creative things that give them other options and so on. There's permaculture options, and there's plenty of things, but I'm wanting to kind of finish on this idea that it's to do more than simply choose those two. Perhaps it's incumbent on us to, as we have been, I suppose, what flat earth activism was all about was trying to wake people up to the deception and realization that their whole reality has been layered onto or hoaxed onto us, and that there's something divine, there's something more, or for me anyway, from very early on in the activism, it was like, no, there's something more than just the flat earth. There's something hugely divine going on here, and the divine would not turn its back on, and wants us to turn our backs on each other, whether that be through the well-known memes of separation, or even in the kind of we're the woke and they're the joke kind of mindset, that there's the them and us still between those that can see some of the stuff and those that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just musing here for the morning. I had an hour to myself, or a little bit unknown period of time. Andrea and Alexander could come through at any time. It's pretty chilly in the camper van. I changed the gas canister. Fire's not working. And I had a bit of a squeezed up night, man. I honestly have, between the three of us, we share the bed on the back of the camper, and last night I was lying there going, okay, I've got the board of the van, the vehicle, or whatever, and on one side, and as much as I am, my squareness, that's about all the bed space I had. Anyway, it's all good. We're in a really fortunate situation right now, but the frustration I feel of, come on, we need to do something, is starting to be. It is obviously intended for us to feel this frustration, because you don't cage even an animal, an animal that's left out in the wild, you cage it for this almost 3 weeks. It's gotten over certain things, and it's now kind of getting into a different phase of how it feels and so on. Yeah, those friends. But I'm in a very fortunate situation right now, and we'll see whether, um, the next few weeks, the next month or two, brings about the events that make the way clear going forward. Not doing enough physical work at the moment, which is affecting the waistline a little bit, and we're eating well. Those are the material things. The most important thing, I suppose, is to do with your soul. Their mind and body are trapped. Soul is, affected positively, negatively, or neutrally. But I think that this system, it feels to me, presses the buttons to get people in the kind of lower soul state. So be fruitful with your seeking of higher soul state, and then we'll see where it all goes in a few weeks' time. But I guess I want to say that, be positive. Let me just read a few commentaries, because I saw some long ones coming up, and I don't want to disrespect that. All that handwriting, typing. Hey, Broadsword, I enjoyed your comment the other day. They're trying to break the spirit and foster obedience, or create a riot that they can crush. Spot on, I think, Broadsword. Mary let his family know, I don't believe they can see you, Nadia. Yeah. My family stopped listening to me, but they do. I did say to them the other day that I can't remember what I said. I just said I'm not buying all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It's a weird time. It's a really weird time. What? I'll go there. Yeah. So let me just see if I can catch up with a few more comments. Men are not meant to lord over so many, and it creates a that opportunity for extreme, wealth grabbing. And then in a few generations' time, if I've bought up all the land, then your children will never be able to buy any land, because I'm holding it forever. I'm rich enough to hold it within my family forever. And not only that, we're going to create a system of control that designates much of the land as off limits. We're going to, encourage those that already got the land and the opportunity to borrow money, the opportunity to buy bigger and bigger equipment. That means that they can more easily yield vast amounts of produce from a single farm. Meaning that the guy who can't afford the big equipment or doesn't want to use big equipment is never going to get that. Now there's plenty of niche little things that people can do, so there's plenty of opportunities for creating a sustainable lifestyle. But at the same time, it is really your birthright to come here and be a husband of the land rather than be a slave within a system controlled by the few. But at the moment, the majority of people love their slavery, so, or they can't see an alternative. It's fair to say. I'm getting out more than most of my family does, and I'm yeah. Do you think humans just like being lied to and controlled? No, I think not. I think that the majority of people, don't think they're being lied to and controlled. They think, yes, that, you see, the clever trick is that it's not that they're controlling me, it's that they're controlling the bad guys out there. As a consequence of that, I have to obviously pay certain fines and things and restrictions, but that's for the greater good. And we have this great political system called democracy. I mean, the word mock sits right neatly within the middle of it, doesn't it? Um, rather than anarchy, which is the sort of the need of no rulers. But let's say you take the theory of the foundlings, where they brought these children into places a few hundred years ago. Those children would have been brought up in very strict, controlled, uh, you know, institutions up until the time that they were moved into homes, perhaps, or adult enough to go out and work and get given a home and start a family, etc. So it is sort of bred into our forefathers in that scenario. It's always, it's like the child, a lion is caught, put into a captivity, and is never that comfortable. But the child of the lion will only know captivity, and be really almost become, certainly by the second or third generation, stories having gotten watered down or whatever, will become absolutely almost dependent on entirely on the zoo, or what, to feed them, etc. So we've been programmed for this, actually. And when they talk about AI and robots, well, we've been programmed to be robots, and you have all had encounters with call centers and counter front operatives who can really only, or who are reduced to a sort of robotic timed response. There's this conversation area that they can talk about, and certain limits. There's a set of answers, or pre set responses that they can give, and that's the limit of their thing. There's no creativity anymore in that. That is a robot, and they've been breeding us towards this, or the system has been breeding us towards this end. But people don't want to see that, or can't see that yet. Perhaps they need for the system to kind of expose itself more. If it's true that the Italian official figures show that 99% of virus deaths attributed to this shutdown were from causes other than the beer virus, the yellow beer virus. So, maybe more cards will, and maybe that's the design, is that it's meant to, but we'll see. Don't want to speculate too much. So then Miss Chine came in, and etc. I hope all of you continue to do well and thrive, whatever's coming. But I think that we have powerful knowledge, we have powerful insights, and we should ensure that they are not lost to the forest. Or I'm encouraging you to think, am I meant to be just giving of my energy in the same old slave old way that I did before? Hey, there's Pebble. That means Easy's coming through. Yeah. Morning. Alright, well, I might have to go because my little boy has just turned up. Let's see. Hey, Easy boy. You want to come sit with me? I'm busy doing a live here on YouTube.
Daddy.
Yes.
Come sit there.
Daddy, come sit with you. Daddy, come sit with Easy. 1 second. Oh. Daddy be sitting on his leg for half an hour. It's gone stiff. Daddy, come sit by you. Hmm? Oh, there's the little boy. Yeah, so Jeff Berwick, that was it. Thanks, that was a long time ago. Society must be based on charity. Yeah, charity willfully given, I suppose. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning. Then property on top of that. Yeah, we need property. The land. Any day, yeah. Land over city. I was talking about it, yeah. Having land over, being in the land. I haven't heard of Ian R. Crane. Apparently in Canada, you make a phone call with your social security number and the stimulus money appears in your bank account about 3 days later. Is that if you've taken certain things, or you just sweetening? See, what I think is that there are everywhere in the world, like people are being constrained and contained everywhere in the world. Well, maybe not in China. Who knows? But certainly that's what they seem to be doing, is constraining us. And that's going to have ramifications on the people. But I'm kind of getting torn here between my showing something good will come out of this. We are being taught a valuable lesson. Love is very powerful. Yeah. I set up for them now. So, remember, we will get through this. Maybe a few years to get the balance seen. We'll see. I mean, maybe this is maybe it's a long-term thing. Maybe it's a very long-term thing, and in 3 months' time, people will be like, "Oh, well, we did that thing, and then we've moved on, but we're still going back to work for the same lying, deceiving, controlling, manipulative system." But maybe it has to sow its own seeds of its demise, so that something new will come. But yeah, I guess I'm wanting to stay optimistic. I do. Oh. Okay. You want to get about the birth certificate? Yeah, I owe you guys that. As we've said, some of the letters are in storage at the moment, the letters we wrote. Anyway, I owe you that. So grateful. But again, I think we also shouldn't forget that we are still sovereign beings, and we have been deceived and tricked, and so I don't see like that the contract is binding. It's only when you go along and consent to something on the day, that they can sort of use that against you. So, but I will do that. I am sorry that if you're holding out for that, hopefully I have some other information that's of use to you. But we'll get around that. Someone made a comment about the birth certificate. I think getting the information down on that.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll do that. We will do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we will do that.
we do that. Yeah, yeah. Consultations. Yeah, well, we could have it. Definitely, why don't you email me at trinityforman@gmail.com, and we can definitely would provide an impetus for us to write up the stuff that you need to do, because it is a something I'm very proud of having held firm on. In the first instance, you don't need you just refuse the birth certificate process. In the second instance, which, obviously you can't use passports right now, but to get the passport, obviously it takes a few letters. But in the first instance, don't get the birth certificate, because once you've done that, you can't undo it very easily. I don't know how to undo it, but I believe it's...
Yeah, I think you can, but again, it's a process,
Yeah.
and we're not sure what that process is.
Yeah.
But if you can not do it in the first place.
Okay, so, but no vaccines. There's Mark. Sorry about my finger. Yes, my baby. Was there any other comments I needed to attend to?
What a peeking.
You what a peeking? Look, who's here. It's Easy. Hello. Hello, Alexander. Beautiful boy. Just woken up. That's just woken up. Great for the opportunity. Hi, Nicholas. Great for the opportunity to chat.
This one. What's this one?
No, I just say something that's...
This one.
What's that one?
Hi, everyone.
What's this one?
Just a parting thing that obviously for me, I'm sorry, I got morning voice. Is the astrology at the moment is definitely pushing, and the situations we find ourselves is pushing us to feel some of the sort of heavier, denser vibrations or darkness that we have inside ourselves, and that's possibly mirrored outside of us. And I just, from my experience, I think confronting that is an important thing in terms of the unfolding that's going to come over the next 12 months, the next 18 months, maybe even the next 3 years. But it just will put you in a better position. That's certainly my sense, or my inner knowing is guiding me that way. So that's just a little bit of a feeling I have right now, that I just need to focus on that inner work, especially as I have the time. But Deb and I've definitely felt the energies. Some have been, feeling butternut. Yes, that's a vegetable, isn't it? Butternut. To kind of, to come there, because we're about to shift into a different gear, both inwardly and outwardly. Anyway, I'll perhaps do my own little video on that. I know I haven't done any, but our life is so busy at the moment. We have the time, but it's still very, very busy. But we, oh, my hand's in the way. We think of you guys often, and
particularly all the friends that we've met along the way.
Yeah.
Pals over in Norfolk, and
we're all over now, really.
Canterbury, and
Glastonbury.
So many, Jack and Lisa.
Yeah, we met some good people in Devon. Well, we've got Jason down in Devon. Yeah, so all over. Yeah, so sorry, my hand's in the wrong place here. It's busy bringing up my finger. Daddy's sprung into daddy duty. But yeah, Life is still quite busy for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, so I wanted to end it on a kind of actually positive, really positive note, and that is that we've been given this information for an important reason, and it's not simply to go and stash it away somewhere or for this thing to not have been of use or benefit. So stay in that kind of this is happening for a good reason rather than a bad reason, because there's plenty of bad reasons that I talk about or others talk about. But at the end of the day, this has to have a balance to it. There has to be a balance in nature. So however bad this is, there must be something amazingly good on the other side. So let's try and focus on the good.
Yeah, I think if you can get stuck, if you get stuck in the bad stuff, then I would question that you need to go and, you know, also do a little bit of reflection on why that triggers is triggering you, because perhaps there's some of your own soul work you need to do. That's just my experience anyway. Owen Benjamin said something very, which I resonated with yesterday, and you know, be aware of what's going on out there, but take a note and move along, because you know, there is a much more profound thing happening here.
Opportunity here. So they want you all focused on the other.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, we can get just as stuck as the people who are looking at the TV if we're feeling so heavy about the things that the system's doing, and that how that's going to turn out for us. So,
and I just wanted to say, this is Adam Meakin's sweatshirt. I found it in the camper van and it was very cold, so I didn't think you might have borrowed it. So Adam, if you see this, thanks for the loan, mate. I'll give it back to you when the lockdown's done. Alright. Well, you guys take care. Have a super Tuesday.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So I was expressing and venting some frustration earlier on and so on, and I wasn't that. Don't look at me like that.
No, I'm good. I'm glad you did, because I think that I just said that. I think that we're, you know, so don't blame others or the system. That if you're feeling, you know, confront them yourself. That's certainly been the work that I've been doing, and so I'm glad that Dave had an outlet, because you know, he needs it. So sorry for you if.
No, it wasn't that like
that's a joke.
But people, you know, we are being offered this dialectic, and I think there's another way. You know, it doesn't have to be just the city or the forest. It has to be, you know, something.
It's about having faith in what's unfolding. I'm not saying that in a naive way, because obviously we're very aware of what's going on, and you've got to use your discernment in your decisions that you make. This is not just
Have faith.
it's not just a one. You know, it's not just one system in place here. There's the Creator. There's the Most High.
The system is the illusion.
Exactly.
Bigger one.
Oh, a beautiful thing that I'm seeing on my social media platform is I over the years have listened to the more spiritual side of things, and some of those people haven't been aware of the illusion, and they're waking up to it, and it's the most beautiful thing to see. They're finding out, they're seeing it for what it is. So yeah, there's a lot of waking up going on, and that's all meant too. So it's we got to be mindful not to focus on only what that the system is up to. And there's more cards going to be played, I think, but light and dark. So do your inner work and do your soul work, and spend time in nature, and be creative, and watch watch the space, because it's 2020's a big year, and it's gonna flow into the years after. So we go back to preparing the ark, because I think that's going to be important. Anyway, I'm not gonna yabber anymore, Mark. I'll pass it back to Dave.
She's taken over the part.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well,
And we'll get on to the best of the good thing.
yeah. And that's I'm assuming this awareness is necessary for the journey, but not. But it's not the journey. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apple
Through that.
Apple
Little Alex, yeah.
This way.
Hey, well, nice to see you guys anyway, and I hope you've enjoyed the little chit chat. And Margaret Melvin's gave you a laugh there, darling, or lots of love. I think maybe that's it. I think he wants you to come around and interrupt his conversation. Always good to talk to you, and I do appreciate you stopping by. So have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.